What's up everybody, before this video starts, I just want to say that my new training programs are now live, so if you are ever interested in a well thought out biomechanic involved training program along with access to my full exercise library, first link in the description box. Enjoy.
This is going to be one of the biggest years of my life, but I'm here for it. I've prepared the best that I possibly can to put myself in the best position this year. Trust me when I say this, the time is now.
What's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Time Is Now. Today we're going to do a Q&A. We're going to do a Q&A with a twist. We're going to go through the session and we're just going to answer a few questions that I asked out on Instagram yesterday. So if you don't follow me on Instagram and get your chance to get your question answered. So we're going to go through these today, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update from now. It's getting colder. I'm getting colder. It is cold, but I'm getting colder. I'm getting leaner. This is 8 weeks out, so you'll also get a little bit of a look at the 8 weeks out physique as well. Maybe we'll show a little bit of a physique update, but I'm getting pretty lean. There's still a lot to come. Like, lean is different from stage lean. We've got to get very, very, very lean and take it all off. No excuses, so we've got to keep working. Food's about 3,000 calories on my training days. It sounds like a lot. For me, it's not a lot at all. Especially when I'm doing cardio every single day at 35 minutes and 10,000 steps every day. And on my lower days, which is my non-training days, we're eating about 2,400 now. So it's getting a little bit low. And obviously thermogenics are higher and drugs are a little bit higher, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So without further ado, I need to warm up and get warm and get into these questions. Verse 23 says, do you stay on cycle all year round? Now, I blast and cruise, which means I have periods of super physiological levels where I go higher than what is natural. And then I come down to a TRT level, testosterone replacement therapy, to put all of my hormones in a natural range for periods of time. So I stay on exogenous hormone all year round, but I would say I cycle maybe 2 to 3 times a year on a blast on a super physiological level. So Calvin Patterson says, any experience or thoughts using melatonin? Now, melatonin is like a natural sleep hormone that you release within your own body just to kind of help you drift off into sleep. So if you supplement with that, it can help induce that drowsiness, that sleep before bed. So I do use it every night at the moment. I try and use around 300 to 500 micrograms. Not milligrams. So I have like a 3 milligram tablet and I just nibble bits off it. There's a lot of studies into it. I mean, the high doses do seem to work quite well, but also there seems to be some pretty effective doses or effective studies in lower doses, like 300 micrograms. So I've tried both. Both seem to work very similarly, so I'd rather take less of it, and that's what I've been doing. I'll probably taper that up a little bit as I find sleep harder during prep. But once prep is over and I'm not struggling with sleep, I'll just cut it back out. Okay, so George Snook says, why is your training style so successful and why don't big names in the industry use it? So obviously it's kind of like a lower, you'd coin it as like a low volume, high intensity type style, Dorian-esque, with some modern twists, I'd like to say. And I think that it's becoming a lot bigger, this style of training. I think the reason why it's so successful is because it gives you tangible goals to chase after every single week. rather than, not aimlessly, because there's obviously a goal to a lot of people's workouts, but potentially just going by feel. I think that works for a lot of people, but for a lot of people it doesn't. And having goals every single week to build upon what you did on the week before, and writing that down, visualizing it and seeing it, can drive a lot more progression than potentially just going in and feeling a workout. Because unless you're an expert, like the top guys that you're talking about, you don't really have a right to kind of feel the workout, because these guys have been doing it for 10, 20 years. They're so in tune with their body. So there's times maybe when you do come in and you're not feeling it and you push yourself less, like that might be a knock-on effect down the line. So I think because there's tangible progress that you can record, it helps a lot. Now, I'm not here saying that it's the best way. I'm not here saying it's the only way. There's many, many other ways, but I think for those reasons, it's why it's so successful. So Max W Fitness says, any tips for someone just starting out online coaching? Loving the podcast. Cheers. If you didn't know, I've got a podcast, Bridging the Gap podcast. My tips are, don't be afraid to coach someone for free. Don't be afraid to go in cheap. Learn, invest in yourself, educate yourself, and then put that education out there to attract those potential clients. Show off your clients. If you've got friends that you know are going to look good, do it. If you think people are going to look good, do it, because it's going to be good for business. You've got to show this before and after. You've got to demonstrate what you can do. You can even go through a cut yourself and demonstrate that. So those are my first beginning tips for you. So the next question is from Ilya Milos. When doing a first cycle, should you make changes in your nutrition, supplements, training, and rest? I would say you don't need to change anything. You're just going to get stronger quicker. Potentially you've got a higher protein demand, potentially you've got a higher calorie demand, because anabolics are metabolically increasing. You take them, you need more calories technically. So you would just do that off a reaction basis. There's no need to like try and get ahead of it. In terms of supplements, I would probably just look at things that are going to help protect what the steroids are going to harm, right? So think about your kidneys, your liver, your heart health, your cholesterol, inflammation, HbA1c, all these different things may get affected by hormones, anabolic steroids. So I would say use things that can help mitigate some of those side effects. Other than that, the rest of it should just change on a reactionary basis. Potentially you can handle a bit more volume, but you will just notice that you recover quicker, get stronger quicker, and I would just concentrate on that. So Andy Collins says, do you look to maintain or actually increase reps throughout prep? Will the lower calories soon prevent that? So he basically means, do I aim to get stronger? What do I try and do during a prep? So I try and start my prep with the idea to drop volume off, because those top sets, those higher end, failure sets where you're recruiting as much motor units as possible within your muscle, those are what's going to keep the muscle. So by trying to preserve those top sets as much as we can by dropping off an extra set here or there works quite well. So for example, for me, I used to have rest pauses after some of my leg press sets. I now just do straight sets because it helps me recover a little bit for the next one. So I always try and progress, because if you go into that workout with that mentality, I thoroughly believe you're going to get further than if you didn't. I think that if you're natural, I've done this, I competed longer naturally than I have done assisted. if you have the right volume, there is no reason why you can't continue to progress until 3-4 weeks out. We've seen it in AJ Morris, I've done it myself. There's many top bodybuilders naturally that can do it as well. So if you can't progress for that long, maybe assess yourself. Why? Is your recovery there? Is your nutrition there? Is your volume too high? Assess those things, and I really think you can progress nearly all the time. So Dan Richards says, what test ester is the best for a beginner? This is pretty easy. So an ester is like a molecule that binds to the testosterone, for example, in this scenario, and it will help release it over a shorter or longer time. So propionate would be like a 1 to 3 days, enanthate maybe 5 to 7 days, maybe a week, and then maybe cyprinate will be up to 10 days. So that's its half-life. So you put 100 milligrams in over 5 to 7 days of an enanthate molecule, it'll be about 50. So that's when you do your next injection. So I would recommend using the one that you probably need the least injections, so an enanthate or a sip, and just do it once or twice a week. Easy. So Troy says, advice that you wish you could give novice Josh when you first started bodybuilding. This is an easy question. Time. Invest more time. I think everyone's in a rush to get lean. Everyone's in a rush to be a pro and compete and try and get that. You've got to earn that physique. I'm nearly a decade deep in bodybuilding of progressing my physique, and I'm still not a pro. I'm still as qualified as everyone watching this, right? So it's a long game. Granted, some people are much more genetically gifted than me. Maybe some people can work harder and they can do it earlier for sure, but it's still a long time. So I think just investing more time into my craft, education, how to do it all, and most of all, doing it for longer. So Daniel says, have you thought about trying to qualify for Mr. O this year if you get your pro card now? That's the definition of like trying to run before you can walk, right? We're talking about Mr. Olympia, the best people, the best physiques on this planet. Don't get me wrong, I believe in myself to be able to get to that level. I wouldn't be doing this journey if I didn't believe in myself. But having, I believe in myself, I feel like I'm a realist, and I want to get that pro card first, secure that, breathe, and then make my next move. And I'm not going to think about any of that right now, because I don't think realistically I'm at that standard that I want to be at to present at the Olympia, let alone trying to qualify. So I think we'll probably go back to the drawing board after we've got the pro card. That's the first foremost focus. How much do genetics play a factor in how easily someone can diet down now? I'm a big believer in genetics, for sure. And the complexities of genetics, how much you can eat and grow, how little you can eat and grow, how much you can eat and lose fat, how quickly you can lose fat, how strong you are. There are so many aspects to genetics within bodybuilding that it's really hard to come up with like he's got the best genetics, because there's so many components. But the genetics of losing body weight quickly obviously have a big impact. For me, I'm someone who always loses weight Not easily, but I can lose it and I can get shredded. I've always been able to get shredded. I'm naturally a skinny person, but those people who maybe naturally hold more body fat, and that's a real thing, higher body fat set points, they're gonna struggle more. People who have never got lean before, you're gonna struggle more. So for someone who's naturally skinny, I've got to eat a lot to get big, but I can just lose weight fairly easy. It 100% has a big impact. And I wouldn't worry if for you it's low, because you might have other aspects of your genetics that play into your favor. So just try rephrase how you look at it. So TJ Miller says, what's your personal opinion or preference, I should say, to cardio? Now I'm going to speak very specifically to performance-based sports, I think literally performance-based sports. If that cardio is going to have a big impact on your performance in your sport, so for example, me bodybuilding, I absolutely fucking did some crazy hit on a spin bike and my legs were absolutely wrecked, had to go train legs. That's not effective. Similarly, for any other sport that you need to perform at a high level. So I much prefer steady state, low impact cardio, because it's low impact on the joints. It's not supposed to be so taxing that it's creating like central nervous system fatigue or a big fatigue build-up, but just enough to be able to keep you in that cardiovascular improvement kind of area of heart rate, and just ensure that you have minimal effect on what your sport is specific to. So for me, my sport, I need to be good in the gym, so I try and keep my cardio away from my training. I keep it on my lower body so my upper body's fresh, and I think about those things. So Emmett Higgins says, does napping count towards your total sleep? So here's the thing about sleep. Sleep works in sleep cycles. Now, roughly, a sleep cycle is about 60 to 90 minutes, depending. You can have shorter sleep cycles, but most people end up about 90 minutes. So if you are napping, I would encourage a 90-minute nap, personally. You can do shorter naps, and every single one of those naps is going to count towards brain recovery and all the benefits that come with sleep. You are going to get some benefits from doing that, yeah, but I would always encourage as much unbroken sleep as you can, so you can go through the natural phases of sleep. So I don't normally answer these questions on YouTube for a few reasons. People tend to snapshot them, they misinterpret them, and it's just a dangerous game. There's a lot of it's a grey area talking about anabolic steroids, but this guy asked, what is your stack? What's my stack, bruh? So I'm going to tell you what I'm using, but I'm not going to tell you the milligrams. If you want to hear all that kind of stuff, you can go to my podcast where I can explain a little bit why, the explanations why. I don't just stick it in and hope for the best. I really do think about it. I've got a lot of people helping me, a lot of smart people helping me, and you can understand the ins and the outs as to why I use it. So at the moment I'm using testosterone enanthate, I'm using mastron enanthate, I'm using primo, and I'm using tren enanthate as well. Everyone's going to go, oh my god, Trent, very, very low dose. And that is it in terms of anabolics. I'll probably be bringing Anavar in about 4 weeks. Other than that, I just use thermogenics that would be considered not natural, like clenbuterol. And I've just started using T3 thyroid hormone, T3 and T4 as well, just to help lose that body fat. But as you can see, we're getting leaner, we're getting there. We're still 8 weeks out. My front is pretty lean. I'm getting there. There's still a little bit of body fat to come off, but the most of it is hanging in the back there. So we have to keep digging till it's all off. So yes, I think I'll leave you on that. I will leave you on that one. You've seen the physique. You got a load of questions there. A little bit of a pull workout, and we're back into the gyms in 2 days. You guys are already watching this, so I hope you guys have been enjoying the gyms. The camaraderie is back. The energy is back, and I'm excited for you guys to continue following the journey. I'm excited for you guys to make your own gains now. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, subscribe. See you in the next video. Peace.